Have you ever wondered what a soul retrieval looks like within the Akashic records? Well, I'm going to explain what they are and show you what one looks like. You're going to want to save this video so you can go back to it later as well. Soul retrievals are the shamanic practice of reintegrating lost, misplaced, or dormant aspects of your soul's energy. It's accessing multi-dimensional information and integrating that into your 3D human experience. It's a journey of rediscovery that aligns you with your soul's greater evolution, helping you embody the wisdom, insights, and medicine that you have carried throughout lifetimes. The soul retrieval that I'm going to share with you was done for a wonderful group of persons for their Solar Plexus Chakra, where we astral projected within it to learn new things about self. With you watching the video summary, it's also going to give you a lot of downloads and insights. If you're really interested in learning these shamanic techniques, I do have a masterclass where I give you all of the tools that you need and make it very easy to understand. This is going to allow you to not only do it for yourself, but for family members, friends, or clients. If you would like to register for it, you can find that in my bio or in the description box down here below, and it's under Soul Retrieval and Past Life Masterclass. Now let's get into this Solar Plexus healing journey. Hello, my beautiful Care Bear. I am super excited to get into the Solar Plexus activation, upgrade, healing. What we're focusing on was our confidence, determination, motivation, overall energy, and vitality, while also giving a boost to our metabolism. Self-concept is a really big part of the solar plexus as well. This is how we feel about ourselves and how we interact with reality through our own individualistic perspectives of self. Because what you are experiencing in here is what you're going to experience out here. So we went on a whole recalibration experience. So let's get into the solar plexus, a shamanic healing. And as always, I took a lot of notes, and so you might see me referring back to them. I went to your energy field. We were both playing hand pans, the ones that you tap like this, I mean with your hands on a pan. We were playing them together, and we were sitting, and there was a rock wall behind us, and we're facing the sun, so it was beaming and soaking up all that, solar energy. I looked at you and said, oh wow, you picked a really great place for the acoustics, because all of the music was kind of reverberating off of the wall back across our ears. And it just sounded very majestic. I looked over at you, you said music is so soothing to the soul, and you were allowing all of these beautiful vibrations that we were creating, allowing them to soak into your field. This is when I noticed that you were having a lot of pressure in your crown chakra, almost like last time. This time it was more so not necessarily like negative energy. It was something that needed to be looked at and observed. So I asked you if you would lay down so I could take a look, and I started to take my hands and kind of putting them over your crown chakra. This is when you got a little anxiety because you said, well, who's gonna play the hand pans? Like while we were having that experience together, because you were really enjoying it. And I said, oh, don't worry about it. They're magic. They'll play by themselves. This is when in the ethers, I was scanning your body and said, it would be really good, a serpentine crystal. This is great for transformation. And I put it over your crown and I started turning it like this, if you will. And what was attached to it was this energy cord in your crown chakra, and I was spindling it like it was twine. You looked at me and said, what is that? It was wrapped all around it. I said, let me finish and we'll look at it together. I have this tablet that was gifted to me, and this is the Eye of Horus. And I intuitively thought, it'd be really good to put this crystal on here, because Horus, the Egyptian deity, he's the one with the falcon head, is really great for helping you see further into the psychic realms beyond the veil. And so this is an amplifier. So in our etheric journey, I pulled it in there and placed it here. And you see how there's a circle, this huge, massive pillar of light was built out of it, like appeared. And I asked if you wanted to go inside of it, and you said yes. And we grabbed each other's hands and we walked through it. We came out on the other side. When you see something that's very like translucent, almost like you're looking through mist, that's what we were going through. And when we came out on the other side, both of us were wearing like all pure white robes. And I looked at you and said, it's giving monk. You and I instinctually clasped our hands together like this and bowed towards one another. I said, are we about to sumo wrestle? And you thought that was really funny. Then we heard this man's voice, like from, you know, the ethers. He said, no, I need you to come with me. And then all of a sudden he appeared and I said, who are you? And then when I took a closer look, it was Archangel Gabriel, which is really interesting because I haven't seen him in a long time. And I said, what up, Gabriel? Long time no see. I have some pictures for this journey. So when I said that, I turned into a nurse's outfit. And if you've ever seen Pokemon, this is Nurse Joy. And there's like so many different variations of her in the show. But I had an outfit like this on. And I said, I have my patient here with me. And I was talking about you to Gabriel. And you like rolled your eyes. And I was like, just kidding. We're here for upgrades and activations. I told him that we had been pulled in here because there was something that needed to be looked at in your crown chakra. And he said, okay, that's fine, but I need you to come with me first. Gabriel had both of us sit on the ground together, and he came out with this really big bell and knocked it. And it started ringing so loudly, and you covered your ears like this and said, my ears! Gabriel looked at both of us and said, humans. And was laughing. Then he pulled out goose feathers, much like this one that I have here, but there was 2 of them. And he started running them over your auric field, like the energy that surrounds you. I said, why are you using goose feathers? Why wouldn't you use angel feathers? You know, that's like a common like human constructual idea. He looked at me and he said, why would I use my own? It was just, he didn't understand the question. I was like, okay, Mr. Sassy Pants. And he said, just watch what I'm doing. And then he continued to put the feathers over your field. I said, oh, we're doing a purification ceremony. And the feeling example that I wanted to give to you of what the experience was like, if you've ever had like Vicks Vapor Rub or some type of like ointment or herbs that are super minty and you smell them like real intensely and it feels like the mint is actually in your eyeballs and your brain. That's what this purification ceremony felt like, but over your whole entire body. This is when we moved into a different dimensional space, and I'm going to give you an example of what it looked like. So there is this place on Earth here. It's called a Salar de Uyuni, and it's in Bolivia, and it's the world's largest salt flat. This is what it looks like here. Very beautiful, Gorgina. But it almost looks like it's not even real. Do you see that person that's standing there in the middle? The water and the salt are very, very thin, and so they're reflective of the clouds above, so it just looks like that you are in a space that is only clouds. There is a music video that I'm going to share in the follow-up email with some other resources, and it's called FKJ, and this person actually hosted a music set at these salt flats. So I wanted to show you a little snippet because it's absolutely beautiful, and this is very much what it looked like while we were there. And he has lots of different instruments that he plays. It's really cool, so I'll send this along. Very ethereal, very transcendent. And while you and I were standing in this place that was like the salt flats, you looked at me and said, it is so quiet here. I said, yeah, what we were doing with that purification ceremony was doing a reset on your mental body, because you typically have a lot of thoughts running every single day, just chatter. So we needed something to help clear all of the noise and the mental clutter. And you and I looked at Gabriel because that was the end of his journey with us, and we said, thank you so much. And if you've ever seen anime before, there will be these characters that go like this and give like a wink. That's what he did to us. And so we were just kind of sitting there laughing. He was being a silly goose. I looked at you and said, there's something else down here that we need to see. And your higher self was telling me that. I said, let's take a walk. And so we're walking through all of these clouds, and we come out to a forest. There was a wall that was constructed of natural stones, and it kind of went on different levels like this. Part of it had been deteriorated a little bit, and you walked over to it, and I said, why don't you put your hands on some of the stones and tell me what you see or hear or feel. While you were doing that, I was reading the energetics of the place, and I said, oh, okay, this is giving very much medieval times. With your hands on the stone, you had your eyes closed, and you looked at me and said, the stones are telling us to head east. You and I, pointed in that direction, and we looked down, and we were wearing different clothes. We were in the white robes before, and then we put on outfits like this. This is Robin Hood. I said, not the green tights. As we were walking, we heard a lot of noise, and it was kind of like a celebration that was happening, very jovial, and so we headed in that direction like further, and we saw a village, and we walked into it, and there was a gentleman that spotted us. He asked who we were, and we told him that we were passerbyers. And he said, well, come in and join us. We were invited to sit at a table where there was a lot of other persons that were laughing and drinking, haha, funny, kiki. They were all telling stories of the past or things that they've currently experienced, but there's a lot of storytelling that was happening. And when they got to us in the circle, they said, what about you, travelers? What stories do y'all have to share? And they didn't say y'all, that's me. In my accent, but what stories do you have to share? So we told them about our whole entire experience of starting out with the hand pans, and the meeting with Gabriel, and then the purification ceremony, and going into the cloud space. And they all looked at us like with their mouths agape in kind of shock of what we were saying, because basically we were telling them that we were astral projecting and time traveling and moving into these different dimensions. Then this really big guy like walked next to the table, like jacked, and he had all of this leather like outfits, and it's just very like burly man, kind of lumberjack vibes. And he said, oh, I heard that you met with Gabriel. If you see him again, give him my regards. And I asked him what his name was, and he said Savon. And it was almost like he was vouching for us because he knew how wild that story sounded, and he personally had a relationship with Gabriel, so it was him. And so he had overheard our conversation and came over to kind of ground everyone of, oh yeah, this has kind of happened to me too in a different, circumstance. After he told everybody, tell Gabriel, hey, when you see him next, everybody at the table that was telling the story started clapping for us. And your higher self wanted to express that there's a bigger message in this whole experience of standing in your truth, sharing your personal stories with others despite what other people believe about it, and that there is strength in community. So this is, not everybody is going to be in resonance or understand the experiences that you have either on this physical plane or etheric astral planes, but that doesn't make them not true or correct. It is all a individualized experience. However, you can find persons who have had similar journeys that strengthen your confidence and self-concept with your narrating your gifts, abilities, and talents with others, or just the wisdom that you have to offer. It's kind of like if you don't have anybody in your life to talk about like psychic witchy woo-woo things, and then you find somebody and then you feel a little bit more steady in sharing it with other people, because you're like, oh yeah, I'm not the only one. I'm not just making all this stuff up in my head. That's why it's important to immerse yourself in communities when you find them, or even create your own communities. This is when the man who spotted us in the first place at the beginning of entering the village walked over to you and took his hand and put it here on your chest, and he said, we are bestowing upon you the honor of storyteller. So this gentleman also holds that title in this village. He said, this is a blessing for future generations to pass on traditions of old and traditions of new. This is when we had a vision of grandmother spider, and I'm going to show you a picture. This is just one depiction. Obviously there's multitudes throughout history, but I like this one a lot. Grandmother spider. And we're going to do a little bit of a history lesson here, and I'm going to read you one of the traditional stories that I found online about her. So grandmother spider is a Native American indigenous mythos, mainly in Hopi, Cherokee, and Navajo traditions. She is a wise creator figure who weaves the web of the universe and teaches stories to humanity. In Cherokee traditions, she is seen as a figure who brought light to the world by stealing the sun and carrying it in a clay pot. And I am going to read you one of the retellings of the story. Long ago, the world was completely dark because the sun lived on the other side of the world, far away from the animals and people. They struggled without light, unable to see or grow food properly. They wanted to bring the sun to their side of the world, but no one knew how. The animals held a council and decided that someone should go and steal the sun to bring light to their land. A possum volunteered first. He wrapped his bushy tail around the sun and tried to carry it back. But the heat burned all of his fur on his tail, which is why opossums have bare tails today. If you want to go on and look up a picture of one after this. A buzzard tried next. He flew to the sun and tried to carry it back on his head, but it was so hot that it burned all the feathers on the top of his head, which is why buzzards have bald heads today. Finally, grandmother spider stepped forward. She was small and gentle, but also incredibly wise and cunning. Instead of using her body, she wove a strong web and created a clay pot to safely hold the sun. She carefully traveled across the world using her silk threads to move silently and unnoticed. Once she reached the sun, she captured a small piece inside her clay pot and carried it back to her people. When grandmother spider returned, she released the sun into the sky, filling the world with light for the first time. Everyone rejoiced, and she became a revered figure in Cherokee mythology. She also taught humans how to weave, showing them that everything is connected, just like her web, which holds the world together. And the symbolism of the story: the power of small but wise beings. Grandmother Spider was not the strongest or fastest, but she used her intelligence to solve the problem. The importance of fire and light. Fire became sacred after this, as it was a gift from Grandmother Spider. The art of weaving and storytelling. Weaving, storytelling, and wisdom are all interconnected, just like a spider's web. The myth is why spiders are often seen as wise, creative, and mystical beings in Cherokee and other native traditions. Your higher self wants you to ask yourself, how do I see myself in Grandmother Spider's story? How is this a reflection of me and the experiences that I have had in this incarnation or others? How do we relate to one another, or what can I learn from her wisdom and the medicine that she has to offer? This is when our vision showed us Grandmother Spider actually speaking to us, and she said, "You are one of my children. This is a special gift that you possess. Use it wisely." What she meant by that was, you are a storyteller, you are a narrator, you are a carrier of the traditions, not only those of old, but you are here to create new ones as well. This has been a very revered role throughout history and mythos. Just like that gentleman that we met at the village, he was sitting at the head of the table and everybody's eyes and ears were on him, and they were hinged on everything that he was saying, and he was very expressive and creative and just so brought to life with teaching people things about, love and morality and compassion and empathy and all of these beautiful, understandings that one can hold within self. but there needs to be a teacher to help people remember and to carry these on into future lineages. And that is one of your beautiful gifts that we found in your solar plexus chakra. It would probably serve you to take some type of storytelling class, or maybe just start researching different traditions throughout history and mythos, and that will help reactivate this ability within you, help you remember, and also help you more fully embody it. And this is why Higher Self wanted to also take us on that journey of standing strong in your truth, sharing your story with others despite what others might believe, and finding strength in community, other storytellers. I would love to hear in the comments if any of these symbolisms were very synchronistic for you. For example, we have the hand pans in the sun that we were playing together, Nurse Joy from Pokemon, or the Robin Hood clothes that we were wearing, or Robin Hood-esque clothes, Grandmother Spider herself, or seeing the Archangel Gabriel. I want to thank you so much for allowing me to be your sparkly fairy guide on this journey into your solar plexus chakra. And if you have not already registered for the Heart Chakra healing, we're doing that on April the 7th. You can register for it in my bio or the description here below. And I'm wishing you a very magical day.